Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 634 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I'm Heidi, and I'm happy that we're hanging out. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. Every single episode that I do is really all about being the best that we can be and not getting distracted from that mission. Truly staying focused on your purpose and your mission and whatever that is really a superpower right now, because it's easier than ever to just stay distracted and let autopilot take over. And then you wake up at the end of the day and you wonder why you got nothing done or why you still haven't finished that project. I know, because I've been there. But I've been hyper focused on that recently and not allowing myself to get distracted. And I'm getting so much more done than I ever have. And I feel a lot better doing it. So anyway, keep hanging out with me because life is good and the best is yet to come. I truly believe that. And I hope that you do as well. All right, so this last week, my big sister and I put on a little luncheon at her house for my aunt and my mom and dad and two of our cousins. We have a lot of cousins, but two of them were there. One of my cousins was visiting from Boston. I love her. She's beautiful and smart and enjoyable and so engaging. So it's really fun to get to spend time with her. And we don't get to see her much, so we thought we would put a little luncheon on in the middle of the day on a Monday. How fun is that? It was really nice because we made it like a tea party luncheon, so it was fun and a little bit fancy. I like that. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is that we were sitting after we had all had this wonderful little lunch, and we had it's great food, and we'd made these little cocktails that were kind of fun. Yes, on a Monday afternoon, that's how our life was. But my cousin from Boston, while we were all sitting around the table, she was telling a story that was really important to her. It was about her son. And we're sitting there and my mom's phone rings. And in my mind, I think, oh, I'm so sorry about that intrusion. It rang out loud, which I don't like hearing phones ring. But so I was like, oh no, that's too bad. But that isn't the worst part of it. My mom actually picks up the phone, and it's my baby sister, who we all adore. And my mom puts her on speakerphone right in the middle of the luncheon. And, my mom wasn't doing this because of rudeness at all. She is not a rude person. Even though it was a rude thing to do, she didn't think of it that way. I promise you that. And anyway, my baby sister proceeded to tell us all this cute story about her turtle. But my point is that this was a conversation that could have and really should have been had after lunch, or at the least when there was a lull in conversation, most certainly not in the middle of someone's story. Thinking about it reminded me of a story that Tony Robbins told years ago about him having a meeting with a person that was sitting in his office when his office phone rang, the one sitting on the desk. I don't even know if they have those anymore. I'm sure they do. But Tony had an office desk at the time. This is years ago. And he ignores the call and continues the meeting with the person. And the person is obviously he's stressed out. He was like, aren't you going to get that? It might be important. And Tony says, no, I'll get it later. You and I are meeting right now. And that's what's important. You're important to me. That is something I'll handle later. So he said that picking up the phone, had he answered that phone right then, when you're in a meeting with a person or having coffee with a person, picking up the phone is like saying, hold on, this person, the one calling on the phone, is more important than you are. And when I heard him say that, I've never forgotten it. He said it many years ago, and I've always thought that is true, and it really holds true still today, even more so, because nowadays we have our phones attached to us at all times. And granted, there are times when something may be going on or you're waiting for a call and you have to have your phone on, but let's be real, that's not the majority of the time. A lot of the time, we treat our phone as if it's an additional person in the room, and it's not. It's a distraction at best. So imagine if your phone actually were a third person in the room. What would that relationship look like? I mean, picture this. You're constantly staring at them. You're fixated on every little thing they say or show you. You're always wondering where they are, if they're not right by your side, or what they're up to if you haven't checked in for 5 minutes. And if they go missing for even a short time, you start to freak out, feeling anxious and incomplete without them. It sounds a bit obsessive, right? Like an unhealthy attachment that borders on codependency. But that's exactly how many of us treat our phones, giving them priority over the real humans around us. It's kind of a fun thought experiment that highlights just how out of balance things can get. And, by flipping the script like this, we see the absurdity and get really motivated to maybe set boundaries. Because studies show, I looked this up, that 82% of adults say that phones hurt conversation and bring down the atmosphere in a gathering, at least occasionally, sometimes frequently. Now, if that were a real person that had that reputation, that they often hurt conversation and brought down the atmosphere in the room, they would pretty soon not be invited anywhere. They would be completely isolated because no one wants to be around that energy. Yet, we allow it from our phones every single day. And look, as I was creating this episode, I had to give myself grace for my bad phone behavior in the past because I feel a little guilty about it. But I also know that we grow and become more aware. And if we really allow ourselves to, we grow and become more aware. So we all have to give ourselves grace. And if you're a person who doesn't have this issue with your phone, I'm impressed and I really admire you for that. But I think you're in the minority because it is an ongoing problem. I know that to be true because I see it all the time. And it's a topic on podcasts quite often, meaning it matters to people. If it matters so much, though, why don't we fix it? We can fix it. But it has to be at an individual level. Like Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. I can only change me and what I do. And what I do may influence someone else or not, but that's not the point. The point is for each of us to be our best selves as often as we can. And that flows into making the world a better place. There are times and places and benefits to our technology. I created this episode on my phone. I get good ideas from my phone. I stay connected to my family out of town on my phone. But it doesn't even come close to being with them in person. Now, my mom in that story I told about her luncheon was really just wanting to connect with my baby sister. And I don't blame her at all for that. I really think she would be mortified if she realized that phone call had hurt the conversation and brought down the atmosphere in the room. It's mom and I love her dearly. And I want to prefer to blame the phone for what happened, but that would be giving the phone way too much power. And the only way it has power over us is when we give it. And I think we all do it at some point, give our phone too much power. My challenge to you this week is to notice how often you're on the phone in the presence of other people. And maybe ask yourself, is my phone more important than them? Share this with 3 people who have a phone. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.